And good evening, everybody. How is everyone doing? It's been a long time we didn't do one of these shows. Tonight, or this evening, actually, we will do, or this midday for the American out here, we will talk about the Decentraland Builder Contest number 12. It was a contest that we held over a month ago now, so we're getting a little bit late on the announcements of winners, but we are still here, and today we are joined with Fractilians and with Fehz from the facilitation squad that are working for the Decentraland DAO or funded by the Decentraland DAO. Very excited to have you on. How's it going?
Great. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on again. I always have a blast with these.
So cool. Hey, Fehz.
Hey guys, how are you? Hey, thanks for having me here too. This is my first time, so I think I'm going to really enjoy this.
No problem. Are you nervous?
A bit nervous, but I can handle it.
No problem. I was nervous too when I talked with Fractilians, I think 2 weeks ago or something, when she did an interview, which will come soon.
Yes.
Little teaser here.
Yep.
The interview of the Sandstorm team in the DCL Pulse, something that Fractilians is leading. So you'll be able to learn more about what we do and how it works behind the scenes in Sandstorm. But today we focus on creators. What are the Decentraland contests about? It's very simple. We got funded by the DAO to do different contests bi-weekly to basically support creators to build stuff around fun themes, get creative, create assets that can be used in other experiences, and be accessed by all members of the community through our open GitHub accounts that I need to update. and yeah, so that's what we do. And today we are here for the contest number 12, which was around the theme of Valentine's Day. So what you had to do is you had to create a love palace. And I think this was one of the most mind-blowing contests that we saw from a complexity of builds, but we'll get into this later. I think for now, in the first part of the session, I want to focus on our dear guests. And let's start with Fractilians, because you've been there for multiple times. I saw that you were in a conference recently. Which one was it, and how was it? I think you were with South by Southwest, right?
Actually, it was Ethember.
Shoot! Close.
I was like, close. No, I want to go. I've never been. That's one conference that would be really fun to go to. But yeah, it's actually local here, and I was actually part of an art show there too, IRL Art, who are also grantees for Decentraland DAO. So
nice.
The ways I started, but yeah, it was a blast. There was lots of people there was Gia from the Grant Support Squad. Gino was there. CK Bubbles was there. So it was fun to hang out IRL with the community, other people. It was great.
How was it to go from
afterwards, though?
How was it to go from digital to real?
Oh, it was like this. I mean, like I had already met Gia and Gino, but it was so cool meeting CK, and she's just the same. It's just CK.
I'm not surprised.
It's very cool.
Yeah, she's so cool. She does awesome stuff. What about you, Fehz?
Well, I joined the facilitation squad on December, so
recently.
I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, recently. I joined recently. So since I started, I've been focusing not only in external communications with Fractilians, but also like in the operations of the DAO, like going around and trying to facilitate the discussions around, the moderation of the DAO, the committee elections. We're also still working on the working groups process that we are about to implement if the proposal passes. And just working on the day-by-day operations of the DAO, talking with different stakeholders and community members. As I said, to facilitate discussions and to bring a better way for decision making.
Yeah, that's so cool. For anyone who doesn't know, a DAO is a short form for a decentralized autonomous organization. For those that are really more used to Web3, it's something that you've heard about and you know how it works, etc. But for anyone who doesn't know, the concept is really simple. The concept is just, it's a treasury and basically open governance system that allows you to fund different teams that can help, with some specific incentives. And so it's an entire structure that allows you to manage treasuries and do cool activations as a community. And I think that's what Decentraland is all about. It's about funding a lot of different creators, developers, people like you who do operations and more so on strategy, also funding people that are working on the governance structures and working on this side of things. So basically, it's like an entire corporation type that's just a new wave. So your work is on the cutting edge because you're really in the new. Nobody has done this before. And it's very exciting to have you. So you mentioned you started in the facilitation squad in December Fehz, but how did you discover this entire space? When did you get started?
Well, it was actually a couple of years ago because I personally know some landowners and content creators. So it was like living it from the outside from a long time. And a couple of months ago, I started creating Twitter content and some kind of reports about the SDK, I don't know how to say, but to eliminate the gap that's between the developers team and the content creators.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I became better known in the community.
Cool.
And then I heard about this position and it was hey, I'm political scientist and we are working with governance stuff, so
nice.
I jumped in.
How did you get your knowledge on code?
Sorry,
how did you get your knowledge on code, on development? How did you understand?
When I was young, I start coding on Visual Basic and C#, and then I dropped it, but I was always around the techie world, so
yeah, you could always read it and you could understand what's going on. And then I think it's very valuable to have people who can explain. I think most people are really, really deep into tech. They get too specific and then nobody can understand them. And so you need people who do the translation. But yeah, that's awesome. Fractilians, how was the addition of Fehz in your team?
Oh, he's been incredible. It's been wonderful to have him. He has such expertise and is it's everything he's been putting out in the publications, because the monthly pulse is something we all contribute to. I do the creator series and all his contributions to it. We can I guess we can share the link to that. We should share that because lots of great reporting that he's done in interviews with community members. And so if you're wanting to learn more about everything he just outlined that he does, it's definitely advised reading up everything he's done. So really stoked to have you on the team, Fehz. I think I always tell you that.
You always tell me,
and if you weren't cool, it's funny. I always tell my kid, he's like, "Oh, mom, you say these things." I'm like, "No, if I didn't think so, I'd just be really quiet." I'd be like, "What do you think of Fehz?" It'd be like crickets. So I'm not just saying bullshit. No, it's really been great working with you, and that's one of the best parts of being on the team or being part of the DAO is just getting to work with people like you, Oscom, people getting to interview and connect with all the amazing builders and community members, trying to help build this amazing space that we're so passionate and love. So, yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know what the facilitation squad is, maybe in a couple of sentences, what are your key missions? What are you trying to achieve? Fractilians.
I say, Fehz, you go for it.
Oh.
Well, I think the core mission of the facilitation squad is, as I mentioned a couple of times, to facilitate discussions, to improve the decision-making process within the DAO. And that implies to do a lot of research around what's going on in the different DAOs, what's going on with the different voting systems, and also being informed all about that, just to channel the discussions that are happening in the DAO to the correct place. And like to also de-escalate when there's conflict. But yeah, I think the core things that we need to, or we address are the decision making process, and like summarizing and sharing all the content that's currently on the DAO, like again the discussions and the like hosting the town halls and like sharing the community polls, the weekly brief that we also work on. So it's like two sides of the work that we do. The main one is
How many? Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Two
no,
sides?
please ask.
How many people do you think are working within the grant program, the DAO grant program? How many individuals? Estimates.
Oh, I don't know.
There's a lot
I-
because if you
yeah,
include
yeah.
all the grants, and because we're all grantees, I'm a grantee. You know, your guys are grantees. Like
Of course.
I
within
think
the
there are more than 100 grants, active grants, or no active grants, but initiatives. So yeah, there's a whole world around that.
Yeah, I definitely think there's at least 500 to 1,000 people working full time just for the Decentraland DAO, just across all the things that are happening. I don't know if it's like a too big number, but I would say so. How is it to have to facilitate communication across so many different people, so many different grantees, so many different projects that also have nothing to do with one another? What were your biggest issues that you encountered?
Well,
I think-
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Nat.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, well, my opinion is that what you just pointed is the the problem, right? That we are treating always with a lot of people with like different backgrounds, with I don't know, with a lot of stakeholders with different interests. So that's gonna like create conflict every time, and we're like there like being the grease to like make that communications better, right? And sometimes the people get talk with some problems or with their opinions, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like I think I talked about this when we had our interview. It's also, since we started, it's been, all of us have been learning and growing together. So it's like an ongoing process of improving that, you know, like how we can share the story of the DAO in different ways. We have our socials, we have our YouTube, we have all our town halls, we have Twitter spaces, you know, that we collaborate with Foundation, and like we're just trying to create more pathways. We're kind of like, you know, almost city planners laying out like different communication pathways, and then hopefully they'll start flowing better. And it's like that's kind of how I see it. I mean, I do more of the comms side and the content and all of that, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, always looking for new ways to share the story on all levels. You know, like the Creator Series is just one example of how we like to share the stories and give people like behind the scenes look into what all the work that goes in, and hopefully again it'll create a more engaged, inspired, contributing community.
How do you think so I think there are a lot of individual creators that are watching, you know, this show. They're interested in first knowing the results, obviously, but they're also interested in just seeing what are the ways they can engage with other people. I think there's something in the creator space, especially where they're a little bit shy to either show their work or to even contact people. You know, I heard a lot of creators that were saying, "Oh, I admire this person so much. I'm not worthy of like working with them, or I'm not even worthy to ask." What would you say to those people?
Welcome to my life, right? And it's so funny. Like the key thing is just like we're all learning together, and it's like I have that dilemma too. I mean, I was for many years an educator, and it's just like you just got to be willing to like look at your fears or look at your blockers and be like, hey, that's where I should go. That's where the most learning is. And it's like even if it's scary, that's where the biggest awesome transformation and growing and learning will happen. So just be like, you know, just fuck it, go for it, you know. And like, even if you fail, failing is part of it, and it's the biggest learning tool there is. So I just say reach out, connect, and if they say no, there'll be 1,000 other people who will say yes. You know, we just got to keep trying.
What do you think about maybe more generally about social media as a whole? Social media in relationship to Decentraland. I think there are a lot of different media types. So you have the more closed off approach with Discord. You have the more open approach with Twitter. You have the more professional approach with forums that is also pretty closed off, right? But more structured. What is your favorite platform and why?
See, now you're asking the hard questions. I'm like, he's good. I got to ask you the hard questions last time. I don't know. I mean, I can't say I really have a favorite one because each one depends on the story and what I want to share or what we want to like transmit. Sometimes, people have those 2 seconds, and there's Twitter. Sometimes if you really want to dive in, YouTube is great for every type of content. Is like, you can kind of like trade teasers, and like I'm always about like how to bridge them all together and use the best of each kind and hopefully share the story enough so somebody will want to take a deeper dive. But most people don't want to take they don't have necessarily like an hour to watch everything, and how to like create the best on each way to hopefully get them to watch the longer format is my personal end goal. Because there's so many cool key nuggets that like, the interview with you guys, there's so much cool stuff in there, but most people, I created a highlight clip that will go on Twitter. That's all they watch. So how to create things that will entice them to keep engaging beyond this, and like it's like a little portal into like that rabbit hole, so I see each one as a kind of different type of rabbit hole.
It's interesting. It's interesting because your approach is you really want to create content so that people are interested in the long form, and you assume that once people are interested in long form, so they really engage, right? Maybe that is like the core community, right? The people who are the most interested, who are really watching all the content, who are listening through everything from start to finish. I think other people think in different ways, where they think about social media more so in terms of acquisition, right? They're like, everything they do, they don't really care about people who listen in, or whatever, how much they consume, but they mostly care about how many new people they can acquire in the community.
See, I'm about the vegetables. I want I want them to eat their vegetables and get strong and become like, you guys are really focused on education. So I come from the education approach, and like, so yeah, but I agree with you. It's like so easy to just go pure sugar, like that little hit.
Yeah.
Getting like, but it's also,
Do you think it's a problem?
I mean, social media, I think of my kid who's just like addicted to TikTok, and it's like,
oh my god.
Well, the thing is, he's really like creative, and if he finds something cool, he'll go on YouTube, watch it, and learn how to do it. So it's like I see different engagement level, and everyone, like, who's me to say who's right and who's wrong? I just like to create stuff that I think is fun, and hopefully the rest of the community will find interesting and learn something from it. And I'm always open to change and learning. I'm not like set and like have to do it like this, but I really think it's just so fun to like be able to share all the work and what people are doing in the space. I find it fascinating. So
cool. What about you, Fehz? Do you agree with what Fractilian said?
Totally. She's the expert on this. So.
Oh, no. I'm just, whatever. No. Don't say that.
Do you prefer the long forms as well, in general?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I assume. If you work in political science, I suppose you're reading a lot of books and theories. So.
Yeah, but there is that magic of like being able to like edit and do things that are like those 5-minute, but that's like the amount of work that goes into that. It's really, 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 really a lot of, that's another art form and skill in and of itself. Condensation of, like 2 hours of information into 2 minutes. And that's also, we try to do that as well. Like we totally are not like only do this is the end goal. It's more like, how do we create these interesting hors d'oeuvres, Anyway.
So other than sharing the content and just showing what everybody is doing, which I think is more so on Fractilian side, right? So you're doing the social media, you're doing all the cool stuff, doing the short form, long form, everything, just making sure everybody gets their share of of credit and their share of visibility. About the communication processes. So Fehz, you talked about a lot about facilitating communication between grantees, between these things. What are to you the biggest essentially the biggest mistakes in communication that you could do in this sector, and how to avoid them? So let's say if tomorrow you want to improve the way somebody's communicating across the community, or if you want to give some tips to people on how to approach other grantees, or do partnerships, do collaborations, things like this, what would you say?
Well, I think a lot of people, I think that bias is the favorite word of a lot of people within the DAO. But I think that's one of the main things that you should consider at the time, like for expressing your opinion. Like being polite, something that basic, and like when you want to bring some issue or to criticize something, like do it in a constructive way, not by attacking attack the issue, not the person that's behind or it's around. So I think that's the better advice that I could give. I think not an advice, just like it's the way that it's supposed to work in a grown-up adults group, and to use the correct we should use the correct channels for the correct stuff. So I think that's the main thing that I will say about that.
Respect rules, be polite.
I think when you have
and
that,
no ad hominem attacks,
no,
right?
like when you have that, everything else just flows, right? And it happens a lot of time with a lot of issues that it just flows. The process, the decision making, the building of a proposal, the voting, everything flows. I know that there are like issues that are supposed to have more like engagement and conflict, but keep it like respectfully and like sharing your opinions in a good way is the main thing that we should think on.
How do you deal with toxicity? I know it's a big problem that you encountered multiple times on different sets of platforms. I think there was also the question of banning versus not banning. So how far can you censor? What would you say on this topic?
Well, right now, what we are doing is, without conflicts, is trying to de-escalate, right? Matimio, that's our manager, is like an expert on that. So yeah, right now we are trying to de-escalate the problems. Like I said, like channelizing those issues into the correct places and like facilitating the discussions and like building better processes for decision making. But yeah, it's difficult to deal with toxicity. Right now, HP built a bot for the Discord, and we are trying it out. And yeah, I think that's one approach to like tackle this toxicity issue. But yeah, we're
interesting
every day thinking in how can we work around this, like how can we address this thing. I mean, this is an internet community.
Yep.
Toxicity is always around. You can like, I don't know, eliminate it, but yeah, I mean, our role is also to de-escalate and to find ways for better communication between stakeholders and community members.
Yeah, even like recently, the simple addition of that Zen Zone channel, like giving a place of just like positive, and like I love the disclaimer that HP put in there. Like if it's not positive, I have the right to delete all it's just like how to create, like sometimes you just need that special space to be like, okay, let's just
you have it open every day.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like, it's amazing how little things like, little moments of light can like help, and it is a challenge for sure. I mean, it hasn't been easy. It's been a roller coaster when it comes to that, but also it's like that personal, taking your own, we were talking about that, I think, when I interviewed Serena and Bay, like really learning to take care of yourself too, because this space is intense in general in terms of making it like mentally mentally draining, and taking time to like go outside and do things away from the thing we stare at all day, the screen that we love so much. And so how to like self-care is a big part, I think, of all of this that we don't talk about enough sometimes.
That's really good. It would have been my follow-up question, actually. I wanted to ask you, because we are talking about structures, right? And Fehz had a super good answer, just de-escalating. And I think it's the best approach. Now, on the person that is either being attacked or the person that's on the receiving end, right? Whether it's you or whether it's one of the community that had allegations against them and they don't know how to deal with it. I'm sure you had a lot of discussions like this in the past, Fractilians. What are advices that you gave to people who are in the position, that
it's hard because sometimes the minute you engage, it's like adding like fuel to the fire. It's like sometimes that stepping away, and like if you watch, what's happened and like how things just kind of like get out of control. It's like if you feed the troll, it's like, sometimes the best thing is just take a step back for a little bit, some of the practices, and like it reminds me of books like one's called what's it called, I forget the name of it, but it's all about communication and nonviolent, that's what it's called, nonviolent communication, and just how to like, sometimes there's so much miscommunication that happens in Discord and assumptions, like Fehz was talking about, and it's so easy to assume things that aren't really what's being said. So taking those moments, I think, break and, really stepping back, and like the bias, all the things that we've been talking about, like how to really look at it from that perspective. It really does take having yourself in a balanced place, because if you start with chaos within you, you're going to come in with like, bring it,
I see what you mean.
I think our role is also about like creating safe spaces like this. Zen space. I mean, also a good achievement from HP, but our role is also about that, right? The community needs to feel safe to reach out to us, to express their opinions, their concerns, and we work around that too, about creating safe spaces.
Yeah, it's the really difficult thing when you're in an environment that is difficult to censor, or when you want to keep it as open as possible. You will have deviations, and I think you're really doing a good job, and I really like the new approach. I think there was a time where it was just too much, and especially with the downturn and with the bear market, it didn't help. And I think it's important in those times to understand that we are also, for the people who are involved now and who are working now, are the people who are building the foundation of the future. Once 10 times more, 100 times more, 1,000 times more people are in this. And I think you don't want to welcome somebody with some cold messages or some hard allegations, or somebody just comes in and wants to discover Decentraland, and they're like, oh my god, you did this, no you did this, no you did this, and they're like, oh my god, this doesn't seem like a fun space, I don't want to stay here. I think that would be the worst kind of scenario.
And if you Discord, like there's also a code of ethics channel now too. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting discussions in there, and there's a lot of intense discussions, but a lot of it, like over time, like things get resolved, and just to watch that flow, I recommend taking a look at some of that too.
How do you think, okay, this will be a very difficult question. If you don't feel comfortable answering it, feel free to say you're not comfortable. How do you think that once we will get more users in the space, how do you think that you will deal with cultural differences? So I think there are key different cultures in the world that are very opposed in their viewpoints and in their social values, or in the priorities that they set. In the metaverse, it's kind of an open space, so you could have kind of communities and cultures that are confronting. How do you think that those will be able to live together and cooperate rather than entering conflict?
Well, I think all of us, we're all from different countries here, which just shows you like the diversity already exists in there. I think it's already happening, and all of us I think it takes time and creating different, like, again, back to that pathway of how to like have this code of ethics that everyone can agree upon. It's community based, and I think it just takes time and practice, and all of us, like the fact that we do have such an international community as is trying to do it. It's not being built by one place and then people coming. It's like being built by all the places already, and so it's already kind of like starting from that base of collaboration between different, nationalities and cultures.
Cool. What about you, Fez?
Yeah, I'm totally aligned with Nat. I mean, right now it's what she said, right? The squad members, the committees. If you see, the content creators are from all around the world, so it's like an ongoing process. I won't say it was like it is a difficult question to answer, but because it is an ongoing process, right? We're like experimenting with these different cultures, with different people from different places, and sometimes, I mean, one is being sarcastic and the other doesn't get it, and the other one, it's like it's an ongoing process. So I think the code of ethics will settle like a good base to start on. But it's like a community building, a constant community building.
Yeah, and we're all pretty much ambassadors from all over, like each one of us represents whatever, and I've lived all over the world, and you guys I know have traveled and been all over. So I think bringing that into it and understanding and actually having appreciation and wonder of other cultures is a really cool way to like come into here. And that's why Decentraland is so awesome. It is that international, crazy, creative, awesome, inviting place to me.
Yeah, I think there will inevitably be problems at some point. I'm really interested in seeing how, even the little things, sometimes in some languages something is casual and in another language it's taken as an insult or
sarcasm, he said. Yeah,
of course. Or like the approach of I don't know, genders or sexuality, right? It's different in a lot of spaces, or religion, or even philosophical approaches. I think you will have a lot of work at some point, but it's very nice to hear that you were able to build already such an international community, and I think it shows. And even me in my job, I see it with all the teams we work with. It's like from all around the world, and at least since we're all Web3 nerds, it's fine for now. Okay, so very cool. I really like this conversation. We'll get over to the contest, and at the end I will ask you to go over the workshop thing that you talked about before. So just at the end you'll be able to explain what this is all about. But for now, let's announce the winners. So we had the chance with Fez, Fractilians, and myself and StageRay to go through all the different entries. We checked the different files. It's looked super amazing. Overall, it was a very cute theme. What did you think? Fractilians, you can start.
Oh, this one. Okay. I wasn't sure if you were starting with
No. It's just in general. In general.
Oh, in general.
What did you think in general?
Oh, it was really like, a lot of it was it made me very happy. Like, it was sweet. Really cool to see, like, I mean, and I've seen the contests evolve over time, and like you were saying earlier, it's really cool to see how they're getting more and more complex, and also like how they've incorporated these subtle storytelling elements. There's so much really cool detail in it. So I've really like dove into that and admired like all the time that the creators did to include those little details that build to their story.
What about you, Fez?
Yeah, I was thinking the same about like the stories that you can think of when you see those scenes, right? Because I can imagine myself as a Decentralander, like going those places and experiencing different things with other people that are around. And yeah, it's the stories that you can build around that. And it's like, I don't know, you can imagine a lot of things, it's like a new world. That's the main concept, right? But it opens a lot of windows, a lot of doors for content creators, for users, for normal users. So I think this particular contest was like, I don't know if better than the others, because I was watching the other contests, but yeah, it's getting more complex, and the experiences and the storytelling is like getting better.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I really like that you emphasized on storytelling, both of you. I really like this approach. I think it was also a contest that had it had like a real purpose, right? I think when somebody is building for this for this purpose, they're always thinking about either someone, or they're thinking about their own situations, or they're projecting themselves in this. So I think it's also very personal and subjective, right? Rather than some other contests where it was purely you had to build and you had to execute on the idea. So um, I will take a little moment also to note that to anyone who didn't make it in the top 5, I think a lot of people were very deserving here. So don't take it personally or take it in a bad way. I think you all did an amazing job, and really, generally, I think all entries were very impressive in this specific contest, and will be able to be reused by content creators and by individuals who have empty lands. And to that note, let's get started with the number 5. And the number 5 is VV Cryptos. Congratulations, VV Cryptos. It was such a cute one. What did you think, Fez?
Yeah, I loved it. I really loved it because it's like, I don't know, as I mentioned, it's like a place that if you're at the Decentraland citizen, you will go if you want like a romantic experience or something like that. It's like I don't know, the colors, the things that are floating around. I don't know. It was just beautiful to see and to experience. As I said, I can imagine myself going to this place for an experience with, I don't know, with my mates or yeah, with my virtual girlfriend. I don't know.
Virtual girlfriend.
No, it's true. That's what I thought of it too. I'm like, wouldn't this be a fun place to like bring your, significant other? I would bring my boyfriend and just be like, hey, he already thinks I'm such a dork anyway. So like bringing him here, like, let's go have a date online. Like, oh my god, he'd be dressed in this super, noob outfit, and I'd be like blinged out and be like,
Wow.
come hang. He's like, what the? But no, I enjoyed the details in this and how there's different areas to like, experience whatever kind of date you want within here. Every little section has a different kind of little feel. I love the little boat and the water effects. And what are the things floating on the outside? Those are just like decorative, the little, like, it looks almost like a lightning.
Yeah, it's sort of, I think it's supposed to be like feeric like lights.
Cool.
Look quite cool, yeah. They're just rotating around.
And it always reminds me of all those cool boat rides in Disneyland, Who can
Oh,
Pirates of the Caribbean, you gotta have some boat rides.
True, this is real. Yeah, that was in a lot of those things you have like the little romantic kind of boats, big tours.
Well, the Pirates of the Caribbean isn't romantic, but this is like the Venice, or you think of, little, yeah, definitely. And I like the little, like how you go through the heart like sections, right there at the lower part.
Yeah, I really like this one. I think VV Cryptos, you did an awesome job. It's very creative. It's very absurd. I mean, even the structure of it is like super new. It's a very nice build. I would suggest on the boats. I think as you can see, there are little problems with the build, so could have been optimized a little bit more with the boats. Some are going up, which makes sense because you want to go to the middle of it, but it would have been cool as well to have some that are just rotating around, that's just going around of it, not going up. So just little suggestions. I think in terms of navigation, it would be a little bit messy, so just giving some tips so you can improve. But overall, super nice build, awesome work, and super creative. Well deserved 5th place. And now let's go over to number 4 with Rob QBE. Congratulations, Rob QBE, with a cake. Or sort of a cake. Do you think, Fez? Go ahead.
Okay, well, as I mentioned, I believe the storytelling experiences that you could live immersed in these scenes are like awesome. This is like an all-inclusive of love or something like that. So I like the design. I like the textures, the colors. but yeah, the whole experience, it's like you got like the chill out place, the relaxing place, the intimate place, the dinner place. You have like a disco there too, so it's like a complete experience. uh, so it's not really like a complex, as I see it, right? It's not really complex, but it's really complete. So that's why I like it.
It also reminded me of the little heart candies, you get for Valentine's.
Yes.
Which are those? Like, I don't forget what they're called. And it also reminds me of like my Barbie dream house of when I was a kid. It's like the Valentine's Day dream house where your Barbies and
It's true.
Kens,
It's true.
you know. And so, like what Fez was saying, I appreciate how like you have all these experiences in one. Depending on your mood or the kind of date you want or how the date progresses. If it goes bad, you can kick him out. If it goes good, let's go to the love pool, and then we can keep going to the dance floor. Like, I like how there's like those levels in the elevator, and yeah, there's a lot of thought and it went into like the cycles and the process of it. And again, the presentation in the video is really beautiful too.
Yeah, I do agree. Rub generally has his very, or his or her, I don't know, very unique style, and I really like it. In the presentation, they always do this kind of external approach where the build builds up,
Yeah,
vertically.
I really like that.
And I think it's a really smart way to visualize it. Yeah, totally agree. I think on the technical side of things, the textures were super well done. It's very, very clean. So awesome job there. The modeling part, is easier because the model, I mean, he basically could retake the same structure and scale it down every time. But it just floats together well. I think even if you are at the top of the building, you will want to watch down and see the different levels. So I think awesome work. It's a really creative build. It's really cute. The animations of the colors are super nicely done. The water is super nicely done. So great work, Rub. I hope you had an awesome date on that place. And now we're going on with number 3, who is Albin Kier. Congratulations, Albin Kier. Go ahead, Fractilians. What did you think?
Oh, this would be a place I'd go to just by myself, to go hang out. Like I read a lot of books about like just like Tibet and Nepal, and I've been there, and it just reminds me, well, it's more like Japanese, but it reminds me of like these temples that I've seen in the actual Nepalese mountainside. So it just like this was a place I'd go to as a retreat for myself. You have to love yourself too, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought of here. I'm like, hey, this would be my little love temple for self-care, you could call it, or something. So I appreciate it, the design, the minimalist, and it's just clean, and I like the stairway. They almost look like a vertebrae,
It's really cool, and also I like that you don't see where it starts, so it feels like you were walking. It feels like you were walking the stairs up from the clouds, and then you're getting on this upper mountain part. Fez, did you like it?
Yeah, I love this one. I actually, the thing that I most liked about it is what was the palette of colors that was used. It's like pretty clean, like zen. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it I mean, I personally in real world want to be in a place like that. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we're aligned. You get it. It does have that beautiful palette. Yeah.
But yeah, what I most liked about it was the colors and how the, I don't know, it's like minimalist in somehow, but it's like really complete in, if you think of it. So I love mountains too. What I didn't like too much was the textures of the trees, but as I mentioned, it's like beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I think the same thing as you said. I think it's really simple, but it works so well. I mean, you don't really need more. You just need you can project yourself in a space. So awesome work, Albin Kier. Always with the very creative ones and a little bit different. So nice job. I think it's a nice little package on top of a mountain.
Yeah, it's got a nice elegance to it. I think that's a good word for it. It's elegant,
Exactly, elegant.
That's the word.
Yeah, it's perfect. Let's stop with elegant. Okay, now we're getting to number two. Number two, who is Ale Reds. Ale Reds, who is always killing it on those contests. Fractilians.
Oh, look at that! I mean, come on.
Oh
that
my
that,
God.
that initial it's so classic.
It's the catch.
cool.
It's
It-
the
it is-
catch.
Yes, in terms of storytelling, that part right away, I'm like, what? That was that one moment of like, you got me. And of course, it reminded me of Home Alone. The little character. I always sit over and think of like funny cutouts. I think of Home Alone. But yeah, I liked. There's so many elements in this that like the details and how it all fit together. The color scheme was again, it was very much in tune with each other, all aspects. And then the windmill was like, yeah, there's each section is almost like could be its own little build, but it's all cohesive. So I appreciated that.
Fez, did you like it too?
Oh, I think he's muted.
He's muted.
Oh, sorry.
No
Yeah,
problem.
this was actually one of my favorites. I mean, like the rendering the video, it's like beautiful, and all the colors and the textures are just perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
It like brings me like I can imagine like a Alice in Wonderland mini golf of love.
Totally.
Yeah, it's something like that. But I mean, the storytelling is great. But what I really want to emphasize about this one are the textures and the colors. It's like, I mean, it's awesome.
And they did this in a pretty short time frame, right? Is it, how many
2
weeks?
weeks.
That's
2 weeks.
really
It's crazy.
That's
It's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's crazy. And you think about this. This is what I really like. We don't have a lot of entries to those contests. I think this one, it was 12 entries, which is still good.
Wow. That's,
But think about it. It's 12 entries of, if you see all the builds, it's built on 2x2s. And I think most of the ones that are just in the top fives can just be placed in the world.
Yep.
And when I'm looking at those builds, I'm also thinking, if I were to explore Decentraland, you're taking your weekend, you're like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, I just want to work around the world and discover things. And you see a place like this, it's just magical. And
Yeah.
what I really liked is how they managed to use the space efficiently. So the limitations were to use a 2x2, and a 2x2 is a pretty big place, but it has its limitations. And you always need to think about how do you create a pathway so that it makes sense. And here, everything just made sense. It really felt like a little miniature village that is just well put together. You feel comfortable where you move. Everything makes sense. Positioning makes sense. Even the thing on the top, it makes kind of a heart, so it kind of fit with the entire vibe. So, I mean, it's just an awesome work. And I was thinking, if somebody was new in Decentraland, explores the map, finds this build, they would be, they would just want to explore it. Go in, explore, look if there's some emotes.
And this could
Anyways.
be like a perfect visualization of what we were talking about earlier. We're trying to create these pathways of love and communication.
Exactly. Ale, you just built the HQ for the support squad. I think we can make this a thing. You
love that.
You can ask Ale to give you the file, and then you can do the Zen zone there.
Just go and love each other, guys.
Oh my god, we totally need to build a Zen zone. That is wicked. I mean, I know there's works of working on a Decentraland DAO headquarters in Decentraland, but like having like the special like little section for each would be wicked. And I really do appreciate what you're saying about this too. The flow of it and the pathways and the utilization of that 2x2 is beautifully done. Like it doesn't feel crowded. You feel like you have space. Yeah.
Totally.
And also, and I see Albin, Kieran, Ale in the chat. I also see Juek. Hello, Juek. How's it going? I see Gio. Good evening, everybody. And yeah, Alvin Kier saying, thank you. I'm very glad you appreciate my elegant work.
Woo! The word of the day: pathways and elegance.
And now,
2 words of the day.
on to the last one and the first of this contest. And yes, it's crazy that the winner of this contest is not this build. If you look at it, it's crazy that it's not this build that won, but it was the one from Geek Goddess. Let's take a look. Geek Goddess with the #1 build of the day. It's awesome. Who wants to start?
I mean, who doesn't want to go on a swan ride in Decentraland? Me? Like, come on. That alone, I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, wait, what? I get to ride that? And I get to, yeah. So back to that Pirates of the Caribbean, loving the rides. You know, this one, yeah. That kind of like put the cherry on top for me. And the fact that the build in itself is a swan, you know, like all the shapes reflect itself was beautiful. So.
Did you think, Fez?
Yeah, well, I told you before we started the streaming that what I most like about this is like the concept is like really simple, but at the same time really complete. Like it really captured the essence of the contest.
Yeah.
And I can imagine a line of people waiting to take a ride on that swan. So
Totally.
I also love like the colors, the textures, and well, the lights. The lights are just beautiful. So yeah, it's a perfect scene.
I think the key differentiator here between, for instance, the one before and this one is, in this case, it really takes the concept of a date to the next level, like the virtual date. You know, you're thinking, how would I envision like this kind of weird virtual date? And of course, you would go on a swan ride for like half an hour, you know, in the metaverse. Like, why not, right? And I think that's just a really cool and a funny idea. The build looks good. It makes sense. The water looks good. The textures are well made, and I think just, you know, awesome work. I'm thinking we could do this like a massive water park with like a full parkour, and then you would just have your virtual e-dates there.
Is the
But
swan
yeah, awesome
like
work.
glowing? I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's beautiful too. I know it's like it has like sparkles.
Yeah, I like the sparkle textures there.
It's a nice detail.
But yeah, awesome. Congratulations on the winners of this contest, the top 5. I'm sorry for the people who didn't place, but it's okay. You're doing awesome work in general. Don't feel discouraged if you didn't place in the top 5 places. It's normal that you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but at least you did stuff and you got involved, and you will even be able to share your works to the community, which they'll be very happy to implement. I'm sure we could even do a full love park. Now that we have the worlds, we could like do a full, you know.
We need to
full
deploy
love
these so
world.
we could run around in it. Like, and yeah, I have to agree with what you're saying. I mean, it was really hard deciding. There's lots of
Yeah,
great
it was really difficult.
and I give kudos to everyone who participated in this awesome work, to all.
And I think we're right on time. So let's go. Again, a win. I want to thank everybody who's watching today. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Before we go, I just want to make sure you're highlighting the things that you're working on. I heard before, Fez, you were talking about the workshop groups. So if you wanted to say more about this, I know it's something you've been working on for quite a time. What is it?
Oh yeah, it's actually the working groups. But yeah, working groups is like another way for decision making. It's not gonna become the exclusive one, but it will allow to engage members of DCL community to collaborate and solve problems identified on pre-proposal polls. So pre-proposal polls are for signaling from the community what issues are around, what are the main concerns of the community. And I think the working groups will bring like the opportunity to discuss that topics, to like set a pathway for addressing those issues in a semi-structured place, right? So right now we can visit the different channels, the general channel, and you'll see there's a lot going on. There's a lot of discussions. There's a lot of collaboration between the different community members. But this method that we are thinking on, this implementation that we are thinking on, I think it will like empower the community in a better way, like not depending on the facilitation squad or the core members for taking decision or for like moving forward with different proposals. But yeah, it would give like a structure for that, like assigning specific roles, setting pathways, timelines, defining concrete objectives and outcomes that we want to get from that working group. So it will be great for documenting the stuff that happens in the DAO, and also to get better and more professional outcomes, right? Because you can write down a proposal, you can submit it, it can pass, it can become a binding governance proposal, but we want to professionalize that, and we think that this is going to be a good way to do that.
Sounds awesome. I really like the idea.
Can I add one last thing too?
Of course. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say, be on the lookout for that upcoming creator series where we interview Oscom and Slatterade, and where I, for a change, get to ask all the hard questions for that hour. Woo, it was a lot of fun. And also, it's been a blast. It's always an honor to be here, and you guys are doing great work helping educate the community of builders across all multiple metaverses, and I think that's really important to have that place where people feel safe to be like, hey, I'm going to go explore, I'm going to learn, and you guys really facilitate that. So see, you're a facilitator too.
Thank you so much.
That's
so
true.
nice
Yeah. Hashtag safe places.
Hashtag safe place.
Hashtag love places,
Do you have the DCL DAO Twitter and YouTube handy so we can share it?
Yes, here. Let me put it. Let me get it right now. Yeah, be sure to check out all our content that we've created on YouTube too. There's a lot of stuff. There's actually really great wearable tutorials that done by Wearable Creation Committee member, which is Sango. So totally check those out. And here, let me get that for you guys too. There's the Twitter. I just pasted it in our private chat. Is that what you wanted it, or did you want it somewhere else?
Yeah, you can. Oh yeah, perfect. Okay.
Let me get the YouTube channel, and be sure to head over. And also feel free to reach out to us on Discord. We're here to help the community and serve, build, and grow alongside with you. Let me get the Decentraland DAO YouTube.
And I'm always saying this, but for any creator here, I think some of you did a lot of different builds and experiences. Really, if you're really looking for who wants to use your builds, or who could highlight you, or how to get in touch with the people who can do content with your builds, just ask Fractilians. You're like, I have this awesome build. It's there. I don't know who to contact to make it happen. Could you guide me to the right person? And then Fractilians will be, oh yeah, I love what you do. La, 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 la. And then she will contact you with 40 people. And then I'm joking. But you will get a lot of help. I can tell you this much. It will be awesome. And thank you so much, Fehz and Fractilians, for being here today. I think we had a great time. I hope you had a great time too.
For sure.
And thanks everyone who's watching. For anyone who wants to build for the next contest, we have one ongoing currently. It's contest number 15. Wow, it's getting a lot of contests. We're doing a lot of stuff. I forgot the theme. I'm the worst. I forgot the theme. I think it's something about
St. Patrick's one, or no, that's already done.
No, St. Patrick's is finished. You see how fast it goes?
Mythological creatures.
Oh yes, it's the myth. Yes,
exactly. I posted that one the other day.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, and then?
Oh no, I said I posted the YouTube channel there in the chat too, if you want to share.
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we shared it. Awesome. Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot. So yes, mythological creatures, and this time it's a scene again, which is exciting because we did a lot of wearables in the last few times. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. It was a great show, and we will see each other in the next few weeks. I think in the next 1 or 2 weeks we'll have results for contest 13 for whoever is waiting. And yeah, see you in the next one. Tomorrow, workshop for ETH Towers in our Discord. So definitely check that out if you want to learn how to build there. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.